Hello, today is January 2nd, 2015, and Luke and I, my youngest son, we're out here today. We're hunting, but we're doing a different kind of hunting. What we want to do today is we're going to search around, look for a decent place to spend the night in the event we had to, for whatever reason. So we're going to be hunting for a good location, out of the wind, and somewhere we can set up a little tiny camp with just the materials and the stuff we have available to us that I would normally carry when I'm hunting in my backpack. So it's kind of breezy. It's about 26 degrees right now, so it's going to be a cool one. We have to make sure you pick a spot where we've got decent firewood available to us as well. So we're going to continue our search. As we find things that I think are important to see, I'll video that as well. We're going to kind of simulate the case where you're lost. Not necessarily injured. Obviously, if you're injured, sprained ankle or something bad where you can't get out on your own, that would be an entirely different situation, and it's going to make everything you do a lot tougher. But we're just going to simulate a situation where you got mixed up. Maybe you can't backtrack yourself. We've got snow down here on the ground today, so obviously we could just backtrack if we had to. There's a little bit of a breeze, but it's not blowing our tracks in or anything. But we're just going to kind of just go slow, because that's one of the things you want to make sure. Even though you're going to be in a kind of a panicky situation and stressful, if you're in a real big hurry, obviously you're going to tend to be moving faster and trying to do things quickly, and you're going to sweat. You're going to perspire even if it's pretty cold out. And might not affect you now, but later on tonight, that damp clothing next to your skin is really, really going to be a problem. So one of the biggest things in survival is to keep your head about you. The best thing you have as far as a survival tool is your brain. So we're going to stay calm. Obviously it's easy in this situation because this isn't the real world. We know exactly where we are, and we could just walk back out of here. But in a real situation where you're confused or unsure of where you are, it can be very stressful. Okay, one of the things we've been looking for is a blown over tree. It gives you protection if anything else, any other branches were to come down through the night, because it is a little bit windy. It's not bad, and the wind's really not supposed to pick up any more tonight, but it gives you that structure and that support above you, protection. It also gives you a nice surface from which to, or framework if you will, I guess, to build some type of reflector shelter. There's a nice flat area right out in front here, and be a nice place to set up our fire. I think we're going to be good. Now the downside to this spot is we're still kind of down in that ravine a little bit. Protected from the wind, that's good, but on a night like tonight, it's going to get really, really cold down in the lower parts of the ravine. That's because the cold air settles, and so it's going to be cool down here, but I think we'll be pretty good. I think we're going to go with this. The other thing I like about this spot is there's a lot of firewood laying around that we can easily gather up without burning too many calories or too much energy. We can just drag that stuff over here and be ready to go. So I think I'm going to start looking around for some tinder. I see some paper birch right down here that we're going to go collect and start getting the camp set up. Okay, we've started the process of getting things together for the camp. Cleared some of the twigs and stuff off that we're going to use as our backstop or our reflector. And I always carry a little bit of survey tape with me, orange survey tape in most cases, for blood trailing and stuff, so there's always some in my pockets or in my backpack or whatever. I just tied a ribbon of it right there before we even got started, and just been kind of watching that as we're bringing wood in and everything else to see the general direction of the wind. It'll move in the slightest breeze, so you can kind of tell the general direction, and that's going to help you set up where your fire's going to be and where your backstop should be. So that's one thing I keep in mind. The other thing, when we selected this site, I took a quick look around and up above us to make sure there weren't any trees that were in danger of coming down, or limbs for that matter. You obviously, if you're staying the night, you've already got some issues. You don't want to add to them by having something come down and possibly getting hurt. You see the wood that we've brought here, it looks like a huge pile, but the general rule of thumb is get what you think you'll need to get through the night, and then triple the size of the pile, because it burns up quick. This isn't like in a wood stove. There's no controlled draft here. It's going to burn up fairly fast, and you don't need to go through the process of trying to break them into firewood size. We'll just leave them full length, whatever they were on the forest floor, and we'll just feed them into the fire as they burn. The wood's really pretty rotted, because you can If you just drop it on the ground hard, it breaks in two, but that's okay. It just takes out the work. We don't have to worry about cutting it up. All right, I'm gonna go collect some tinder here, and we've already brushed out a spot where we're gonna start our fire, and we're gonna clear this right out of all leaf debris, make sure we got good bare ground below it, put a couple of bigger logs around it, and that's where our fire will be. Okay, we've got our camp pretty much set up. We just use one of those really inexpensive space blankets, really cheap. They're designed to just wrap around your body and reflect your body's heat back to you. We used it as a reflector on the back of this shelter, and they are really, really flimsy though. You can actually see through this one. I don't know if the camera's going to show it up very well, but it's very, very thin film. But it'll be great for blocking the wind. I've added a lot of limbs and branches to it just to keep it from billowing up. You know, the wind has gotten a little bit stronger since we've been here, but we're going to be well sheltered from it there, and I think that should keep everything in place. We've got a very big wood pile and some pretty good sized logs to go inside there too. So I think we're going to be good on wood. We're just now going to go and collect, because it is getting darker than it appears on the camera. I'm not too sure exactly what time it is, but we're going to go collect some tinder. Okay, my son just told me it was 4:30, and we're going to go collect some paper birch we've seen up here, and some real small pine branches. The smaller stuff, obviously, that's been dead a while, is going to burn really good and get this fire going. So we'll get that started. Luke has got our bedding area kind of cleared out, and we'll start digging the things out of my backpack that are going to help keep us comfortable through the night. Okay, this is the area where we got most of our firewood from. You can tell how we've got tracks all through the snow dragging in our footprints. Here's a paper birch tree. This stuff, you just peel it off just like paper. You're not really doing that much harm to the tree unless you get really deep into it. But anytime I see this stuff and I've got an opportunity, I just peel some off, stick it in my game vest, so you'll have dry material for later. But this tree is really common in our area, and this stuff has a little bit of resin in it. Really, really lights well and burns nicely, and it'll help you get a fire started. So I'm going to have Luke collect a little bit of that, and I'm going to go get some real small pine branches that'll help his tinder as well. Okay, another thing I want to point out that just may seem kind of silly, but you're going to go around, you're going to collect some small branches and stuff for tinder to start your fire with. And the other thing we've done, we kind of walked around here in the area. We may have to get up in the middle of the night when it's dark out, and so you want to eliminate any hazards, something that could poke you in the eye or whatever. I found this nice big log over there just sticking up out of the ground. I'm going to add it to the fire pile in a minute here. But in the meantime, instead of taking them branches and little limbs and cracking them off where you risk the injury to your hand or something, you don't want to complicate your issues here. So just take this log like this simply and just whack those branches right off. Whether you're clearing the branches so that you're not going to get poked in the eye later, or you're knocking the branches off so you can add them to your tinder pile. You know, something like this, a simple tool. Again, use your brain. It's your best survival tool. Something like this is going to save you a lot of problems. A lot of people build a big, complicated teepee or fancy-looking thing, but I'm not too concerned about it. I've just kind of built up a V-shape with bigger twigs, with that paper birch on the inside. Luke's got some sap wood from a pine tree that's going to have the sap in it that's really highly flammable. And Luke learned a trick too about lighting the fire. Obviously we have lighters here. We're going to make it as easy as possible. I recommend you always carry one. Of course there's many other methods to start a fire, but he's learned a trick here with just a Crayola crayon, where you light the paper on the outside. That serves as the wick, and the wax in the crayon itself, kind of a makeshift candle. You know, very inexpensive, and they burn quite nice. So Luke's going to go ahead and use that to light our fire. Get right down in the birch bark. Okay, we can take the can off the side. Okay, there you go. So we're going to just feed this fire, get it up. When we get it up to something that really looks impressive, we'll film some more. Okay, we got the fire going pretty good. You can see we put some logs to surround it. Some big, you know, forearm size logs that are damp around to kind of make a structure. It does two things: kind of creates that chimney effect, contains your fire, and gives you the opportunity to load other bigger wood on top, let it burn through, and then we'll just kind of keep pushing and adding it in. You can already feel the warmth here, the difference it's making. We've got the wood pile on this side to kind of act as a reflector for the heat, and obviously we've got the reflector that we built behind us. We're in the area we're going to be sleeping. So things are looking good. We're just going to collect a little bit more small stuff in case the fire, we sleep through it a little bit and we lose everything, and we need to get down to the smaller branches and tinder to get it started again. You want to make sure you've got that here available to you and not have to go looking for it in the dark. So that's what we're going to do now. And other than that, we're just going to kind of hang out by the fire and enjoy the heat and the quiet and just get ready for a long night. Okay, couple last second preparations here. Got the fire going well. Luke put up a little clothesline. You won't be able to make it out here now in the dark, but so we can dry some of our clothes. I also hung my vest up in the tree, probably 8 feet up there. The idea is it's really not going to help me as far as clothing to keep me warm, but it certainly will help us as far as visibility. We've made quite a little shelter here, down in this ravine, behind a blowdown, so we're really not visible, and the thought is here that we're lost, so somebody should be looking for us at some point, and that'll certainly help make us more visible. Okay, got our fire pretty much situated and squared away. I don't know if you'll be able to pick it up on the camera, but kind of use some bigger logs around the outside to just build up, and put some of the other bigger ones up on top. The logs that are closer and the wood that's closer to the fires actually provide fuel, obviously. The other ones, in the meantime, are drying out, waiting for their turn to actually work their way down to the fire. And it's kind of nice being those long sticks like we had. You can just keep feeding them in as they burn through, and you don't have to go far. You don't even have to get out of bed in order to do it. I'm going to just point to some of the things that I have in my backpack that's going to help us tonight. One is a tin cup that I always carry. It's actually not tin, it's actually, this one's stainless steel. It's got a pretty neat handle on it that you can straighten right out and use it on the fire so you're not going to burn your hands. You could put a stick in there too to have an extra handle. Fire starting things in here, a little bit of first aid stuff. Extra pair of socks may come in handy tonight. Garbage bag, for a rain poncho, emergency rain poncho. Here's gutting gloves that I always have with me anyways when I'm hunting, especially big game. And we were thinking about these on the way, I'm getting ready for today. And what you really could do with these is, these are the shoulder length ones, comes all the way up to your armpit basically. If you fill them up with snow, nice clean snow, and just hung it somewhere near, on a branch near the fire, not too close, but obviously you would have water before long, and that'd be kind of a neat way to melt it down. Or you could use those as a water container if you went right down to the creek and picked up some water that way. So again, just kind of things to think about that you have in your backpack that you can use in different ways. I usually keep an extra hat, a warm hat. A lot of your heat is lost through your head, as we all know. And here's the little pouch that my poncho came in. I'm just going to stuff that full of whatever, extra gloves or my hat, and use that for a pillow tonight. So our really only thing that's going to be a bit tough is we're sleeping right straight on the ground, which obviously is going to be pretty hard, and you're not going to stay comfortable for very long in one position. The other thing too is there's really no insulation from the ground. It'd be nice to have even a thin blanket or something underneath us, but we just don't have that luxury, so we're going to make do without. But the wind has quit here for us. It's really not that bad, and the temperature inside our little reflector here is just pretty incredible compared to what it is outside. It's really quite comfortable, and we could really peel off the outer layers of our clothing, get them dried up. It probably wouldn't be a bad idea before we go to bed just to do that, to make sure we got good dry clothes on, that we can wear in the night. So that's it for now, and we're going to just kind of chill out here. Luke's going to cook a hot dog, and we got some parched corn we're going to eat, and maybe a little bit of water, and then just kind of hang out for the rest of the night. Okay, there's our fire, still doing well. Luke's got our little camp stove out. It's basically a tuna can with corrugated cardboard packed tightly in there, just in a spiral, and then covered in beeswax, and works pretty good. It kind of soots up the bottom of the cup and everything else, but it does a pretty nice job, and he's got it inside a little folding camp stove. You're probably not going to be able to see that in this light. One thing I forgot to talk about before was we got a pine branch here, just a live pine branch. Used it for a couple different things around here, getting ready, sweeping majority of the snow off the logs that we use for our camp, and also use it as a fan. Really gets that fire hopped up, kind of turn the temperature up on the stove here. So it's useful for a couple purposes. By using it as a broom to kind of sweep the ground and sweep the logs that we're camping near, we kept our hands dry. We're going to shake out the tarp that's down on the ground in a little bit. We got some snow and stuff on it, and get ready for bed. So probably film maybe one more time tonight. You'll be glad to know that Luke and I made it through that night just fine. The fire that you see in front of you provided many benefits. Not only did it warm our bodies and dry our clothes and cook our food, it provided a level of comfort that really can't be measured. I heard once that the key to survival is not dying, and I guess that's true. And this video is not meant to cover every aspect of survival or every survival situation, but it was meant to just get you to think in those terms. Be creative. The best survival tool you have is your mind. Make sure you use it. Develop the skills you'll need to possibly spend the night in the woods. It actually was a really, really cool experience. I'm glad Luke and I could share it, and we plan on doing a lot more of this. It really is rewarding to know that with just the things on your back, you could go out into the woods if you need to and survive the night, and maybe more. I hope you enjoyed this production. Take care. We'll see you down the trail.